Hello everyone and welcome back to Zaclit Educational Channel. So in this video we are going to know about the vermicomposting, its method, principle, advantage, disadvantage in a point-wise notes manner. So it will be very simplified. So get ready with your notes to note down all this thing, which is very important topic in any of the examination, including the ARS NET Environmental Science paper. So this is the part 6 for the ARS NET preparation. If you haven't watched the previous part, the playlist link is in the I button as well as in the description below. So without wasting much time, let's start today's video. Here I will just tell you the important points to note down as we know in this video. So what is first of all composting, then we will come to vermicomposting. So compost is a mixture of ingredients such as used as plant fertilizer and to improve soil's physical, chemical and biological properties. So compost is a mixture of ingredients, as you can say raw material, used as the fertilizer for the plants, which are not chemicals but they are organic and they help to improve the soil's physical, chemical as well as biological properties. So it is commonly prepared by decomposing the plant and food waste, recycling the organic materials and manure. Three things we do: decomposing the plant and food waste, recycling the organic materials and manure. This resulting mixture is rich in plant nutrients and beneficial organisms such as bacteria, protozoa, nematodes and fungi. So what organisms are beneficial for the plants? Their categories are bacteria, protozoa, nematodes and fungi. So these are the organisms which are growing as a result of the compost making procedure. Now we will see what is vermicomposting. So one extra word vermi is added. So vermiculture is called as what? Worm farming. So vermiculture means growing of the worm, and vermicomposting means, yes, it is the scientific method of making compost by using earthworm. So when we are using specifically earthworm to make a compost for the plant's growth, then it is called as vermicomposting. In order to do vermicomposting, we have to do vermiculture. That means culturing the worm, that is earthworm, that is called as vermiculture. So these earthworms are commonly found living in soil, feeding on biomass and excreting it in a digested form. So they are the main engineers for the soil, which help in the growth of plant and then making the sustainable ecosphere in the soil. Next is earthworms feed on the organic waste material and give out excreta in the form of vermicast. So this is very important, this term, what are vermicast. So when, let us assume this is the earthworm. So when it feeds on the organic material, if it eats any food, then after that it excretes. So its excreta is called as vermicast. So these vermicast are rich in nitrates and mineral such as phosphorus, magnesium, calcium and potassium, which are used as the fertilizer and they enhance the soil quality. As a result, we get a very good quality plants and crops. So as a result, what we do, we grow this earthworm, we provide them the food to eat, then we use their excreta, which are vermicast, for the composting purpose and we utilize them for the enhancing soil quality. So I hope it is clear now. Let's move to the next slide. Now we will know the two kinds of vermicomposting techniques. What are they? They are bed method and one is pit method. So they are, number one is bed method and another one is pit method. Bed method, in this technique, it is an easy method as compared to pit method. So this is, you should note down which is easy method, bed method, in which beds of organic matter are prepared. That means layers of organic matters are prepared. Coming to the next method of vermicomposting, that is pit method. In this method, pit is made. So it is a pit which is made, and in this method the organic matter is collected in cemented pits, or sometimes it is also used as the plastic pits. Yes, plastic pits are also used. However, this method is not prominent. So the disadvantage of pit method is that it is having the poor aeration as well as water logging problem. So when there is poor aeration, the earthworms will not get enough oxygen. So as a result, their growth will be not equally important for the soil, so will not get a good quality of vermicompost. So in comparison to the bed method, pit method is not that much efficient. So let's move on to the next slide. So here in this next slide we can see the comparison between three types of earthworm species. So these are also important as per the examination is concerned. First type is epigeic earthworms, next is endogeic, and third one is anarchic type of earthworms. So this table is not that much clear. I'll be telling you, you should note down. First is epigeic earthworm species. Example you should note down. They are common redworm or Echinna fetida, and red earthworm which is called as Lumbricus rubellus. Similarly, endogeic earthworm species example is Allolobophora chlorotica and blue-grey worm. Similarly, anarchic earthworm species are Lumbricus terrestri. So don't get confused between Lumbricus rubellus and Lumbricus terrestri. So Lumbricus terrestri is a type of anarchic earthworm and Lumbricus rubellus is a kind of red earthworm. And black-headed worm is also a kind of anarchic earthworm species. So the epigeic earthworm species are small-bodied. They tend to have light or colorful pigmentation. So their color is sometimes light in color or colorful pigmentation we can also see. Similarly, we can see endogeic earthworms which are little more than the epigeic earthworm, 2 to 12 centimeter, and they tend to lack pigmentation. So here pigmentation is not at all present, but in case of epigeic earthworm we can see colorful pigmentation sometime. Coming to the anarchic earthworm species, they are the larger bodied earthworm species. They range from 50 to 25 centimeter. They tend to have dark or saturated pigmentation. Now coming to the most important thing, where these earthworm species they dwell and they feed upon. So epigeic earthworm species they dwell and feed in the surface soil, as you can see in this picture in the left hand side. So epigeic in the surface of the soil or above the ground in the litter layer. Rarely they make the burrow beneath the uppermost soil strata. Whereas if you coming from the endogeic earthworm species, you can see in the second image, so they dwell and feed underground, move horizontally through complex temporary burrows across the top soil and upper soil strata. So you should simply note down, they make a small burrow and they move horizontally through complex temporary burrow network. Next, coming to the anarchic earthworm species, they are large bodied as you can see here, and they are moving deep into the soil. So anarchic are they dwell underground, feed both within the soil and at litter layer. So inside the soil also they move, as well as they are present on the litter layer. So they move vertically through the deep and extensive permanent burrow network. So if in the question it is asked that permanent burrow networks which are formed by which kind of earthworm, then it will be anarchic type of earthworm species. Next thing is the epigeic earthworm species they selected for the ideal for the vermicompost bin and may be found living in small population near a backyard compost bin. So that is not required. So endogeic earthworm species they are not suited for the vermicompost bin. Similarly, the anarchic earthworm species are also not suited for the vermicompost bin. So epigeic are the most suited for the vermicompost bin because they are feeding on the top or surface soil. So as a result, they will feed all the food and they will excrete the vermicast, and we will get the vermicompost in lesser time. So let's move on to the next slide. Next slide we will know the principle of vermicomposting and the nutrient profile of the vermicompost. So this process of vermicomposting is mainly required to add nutrient to the soil as we have discussed, and compost is actually a natural fertilizer. It is not having any chemical. It allows an easy flow of water to the growing plant, so it makes the passage for the water flow also, and the earthworms are mainly used in this process as they eat the organic matter and produce castings through their digestive system. So thanks to the earthworm, because of them only we are getting this vermicompost. And now we should know that what is the composition of the vermicompost. So maximum concentration of nitrogen is found in the vermicompost, that is 1.6%, followed by potassium, phosphorus, calcium and magnesium. So maximum is of nitrogen, then followed by potassium and phosphorus. Similarly, they also contain the iron, that is 175 parts per million approximately, manganese and zinc also. So in which iron is in having the maximum amount. So this thing you should note down. Coming to the next slide. Next slide is actually the overall procedure. So 10 steps we have to know how this vermicompost is done. Just you should note that. First is to prepare the compost, either a plastic or concrete tank can be used. So in the pit one we can use either concrete tank or plastic. First is the collection of the biomass, that means the waste from the kitchen and every other places, the biomass, and place it under the sun for about 8 to 12 days. So after placing it under the sun, then we need to chop it to the required size. Next step is preparing the cow dung slurry to sprinkle it on the heap for quickly decomposition. So in order to increase the decomposition rate, we use the cow dung slurry for the vermicompost. Next is adding a layer, that means 2 to 3 inch of soil or sand at the bottom of the tank. So at the bottom of the tank we have to add 2 to 3 layer of soil or sand. Now next is preparing fine bedding by adding partially decomposed cow dung, dried leaves and other biodegradable waste collected from fields and kitchens. So we have to now make a bedding by adding the partially decomposed cow dung, dried leaves and biodegradable waste from the fields and kitchen. Then we have to distribute them evenly on the sand layer, that means the bottom layer. Next is continuing adding the chopped bio waste and partially decomposed the cow dung. So this thing we should continuously add, and till what height? Till the depth of 0.5 to 1 feet. So till that height we have to add continuously this mixture. Then we have to release the earthworm. So now comes the soil engineers, they are the earthworm. So we have to release the earthworm species over them and cover them with the dry straw or gunny bags. So both are used. Next is we have to sprinkle water on the regular basis to maintain the moisture content of the compost, which is very important. Then we have to cover the tank with the thatched roof to prevent the entry of ants, lizards, mouse. So in order to protect from the other animals, we have to cover the tank with the thatch roof and protect the compost from the rainwater also and direct sunshine. Finally, we have to check the compost frequently from the overheating. We should not overheat, otherwise it will be spoiled. And next is you should note down a fully matured product from a traditional vermicomposting method takes 45 to 60 days. So this question is also asked frequently. So it is on an average 45 to 60 days. So that is the traditional vermicomposting method it takes. Let's move on to the next slide. This is very important. Advantages and disadvantages of the vermicomposting. This is also asked in the exam. So what are the advantages of the vermicomposting? It develops roots for the plants. Yes, in order to give nutrients also, it helps in developing roots for the plant, improves the physical structure of the soil, it increases the fertility and water resistance of the soil, helps in germination, plant growth and crop yield, nurtures the soil with plant growth hormones such as auxins, gibberellic acid, etc. So it also helps to enrich the soil with the growth hormones such as auxins, gibberellic acid. But what are the disadvantages of the vermicomposting? You should know it is a time consuming process and takes long time to convert the organic matter into usable form, which is the disadvantage. It releases a very foul odor, so it is very bad smelling. Next is vermicomposting is requiring high maintenance and the feed has to be added periodically and care should be taken that the worms are not flooded with the too much to eat. So there should be proper care taken, high maintenance required, and the bins should not be too dry or too wet. So proper moisture level should be monitored, and they nurture the growth of pests and pathogens such as fruit flies, centipede and flies. So when this cow dung, the waste are composed, so as a result pests also grow, pathogens, flies, they are nurtured there, so you should take care of there also, so in order to avoid the disease for the human beings and animals also. So overall, if you know, it is vermicomposting, it turns the kitchen waste mostly and other green waste into dark nutrient rich soil. Due to the presence of microorganism, it maintains healthy soil. So it is an eco-friendly process that recycles the organic waste into compost and produces valuable nutrients with the help of earthworms. So this is the overall idea of the vermicompost. So I hope you have known something new from this video. If you have any doubts, you can ask me in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe the channel to get all further updates. See you guys in our next video. Till then, keep smiling and believe in yourself.